You are most welcome inside the locker room on a Monday morning. This is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. 17 minutes past 8 a.m. It's where you get to talk about great sporting action. My name is Ayokunmi. It's a brilliant, brilliant Monday morning, a holiday morning. So everybody's chill, relaxed, and putting their feet up. And trust me, every single day is a great day to talk about sports. And there was a lot of sporting action over the weekend. A lot of football, tennis, hey, you name it, we've got it. It's going to be absolutely awesome because I'm not doing this alone. You know how it is. Joining me as she always does to walk us through all the great sporting stories with banter sprinkled in between. Tega Supreme is with me this morning. Good morning to you, Tega. Great to have you in the locker room.
Good morning. If it sounds like my nose is blocked, it's because my nose is blocked. All right.
It
Good
happens to the
morning,
best of
everybody.
us.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. All right. So this weekend, if the people that made my nose to be blocked, there are many. So when we start from the women's Roland Garros final to the men's Roland Garros final, and then yesterday to Spain versus Portugal, a lot of stories coming through there. So we are going to touch on every single one of that from France um, to yes, to Germany, where the
Mm.
match was taking place. And then we'll also talk about people that are leaving money on the table. What's happening? People are rich, oh.
Very, very. But they can be richer.
I, but no, they are already rich because they are rejecting money. We'll talk about one of our brothers that has rejected another offer. All right. So we'll touch on all of that and more in the locker room this morning. But before we do any talking, Ayokubi, can you tell us how we can be a part of the locker room this morning?
All right. Well, we're looking forward to you joining us in the locker room this morning by sending your messages to WhatsApp. That is one way to be a part of the show. You know how it is. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. I said that pretty slowly. In case you're just tuning in for the first time, you can have that saved and you'll be part of the WhatsApp family. You can also jump on the live stream. You can find us on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos, and of course, leave your comments in the chat box as per the usual. We always look forward to hearing from you. All right, Tega, let's begin our journey this morning talking about our brother who is leaving money on the table because I guess he is very rich, and that is Victor Osimhen. He has officially turned down a fifth offer from Saudi Arabian giants Al Hilal, reaffirming his desire to remain in Europe. Baba has said, "You can offer me all the money, but that Europe, I want to stay. I'm not going anywhere."
And that's the tricky part.
Are you there? It's like, oh, you are muted. Okay, get back. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I said that's the tricky part. So he really wants to stay in Europe, but there are no suitors at the door. We this and it does my head in when you think about out and out strikers in Europe that have done well, especially in the previous season. In fact, in the past 3 seasons,
Yeah.
you have to call Victor Osimhen's name amongst those names. But nobody is falling over themselves to get to his door. And that is where the question is. Um, I don't want to, it's not racism. Let's not even go there. But there must be something else they're looking for that they're claiming Victor Osimhen doesn't have because where is everybody and their bids? Now, the only people that really seem to want him are the Saudis, and they've brought real money, long money,
Mm,
pension plan, generational wealth, that kind of money. Um,
exactly.
but he really wants to stay in Europe because he's young. And he's thinking, if I'm moving to Saudi now, it means my career is over. That's the thought in his head. If I move to the Saudi league, it means my career is over. We are not all, people talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. We are not all Cristiano Ronaldo. Think about the other players, other big names that you've heard that have moved to Saudi. Is basically, towards the end of their careers, except
Yeah.
they've already made their name big in Europe. So like I said, when you talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, he's made his name big already. So Portugal will always call him up, and we'll talk about Portugal eventually. But for a young man like Victor Osimhen to move across, to move from Europe to Saudi Arabia, it is a perception about Saudi that people move to Saudi when they don't believe they will, when they think it's time to just make money.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why he's not moving. I think so. And also, he's not my family member.
Mm.
Mm.
Could it also be Tega? I mean, reportedly his wage demands. He's not backing down on that. Could that also be playing a part in why
What
clubs are
is
not
he
falling over him?
asking for? Why? What is he asking for that they cannot pay him? If they can pay Kepa the money there, if they can pay Rashford, that hasn't, how many goals did Rashford have this season? Do you understand what I'm saying? If they
Mm.
can pay Rashford that amount of, what is he asking for that's impossible? So when we say these things, we want him to reduce his price, want it to reduce, but you are buying Europeans at that money that cannot even play as well as he can. There are people that they're buying at ridiculous amounts, and you're just like, what is happening? Some people just mention amounts and they'll drop money on the table. For instance, why is Sesko valued that much? What has he done in the scheme of things? Victor Osimhen has 3 seasons. He doesn't have one brilliant season. He has at least 3 seasons to back up his wage demand in Europe.
Mm.
And in those 3 seasons, he's won trophies for the clubs he went to, from Italy to Turkey. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So ultimately, what is he asking for that is ridiculous? Nothing. So what all this wage demand that they're talking about doesn't mean anything. Why you want to buy him for cheap? That's even worse than him going to Saudi. I might as well just pack my bag now. I won't even pack it back. I'll just enter flights and go. So at the end of the day, he's been. It's a ridiculous thing when I hear people say, "Oh, he should drop his wages so we can buy." Bring the money. He's worth it. If you can pay that kind of money for Sancho, what are you telling me about Victor Osimhen? So, I don't think his wage demands are ridiculous, not even remotely. That's why
Mm.
I didn't. That's why I didn't touch it, because it's not even a conversation I like to have. When I see people write that, oh, he needs to drop his wage demand, I'm like, no, that's just not right. He's worth every penny he's asking for.
All right. All right, Tega. Thank you for clearing that one up. I just had to bring it to the fore as well. Let us talk about the Super Eagles very quickly here, where head coach Eric Schell says that his team will continue to work on their playing pattern and try to find balance. He made these remarks during a post-match conference at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow on Friday night after the 1-1 draw in the friendly match with Russia.
Yes, so after the draw, a lot of questions arose, and you know how people Nigerians are. We want to go to a friendly. So this is the mindset of the average armchair analyst. The friendly is about to start. We're like, we just want to discover young players. We want to discover fresh blood in the team. Yada yada yada. Blah blah blah. Then during the match, you're like, what kind of rubbish are you playing? But I was like, this is discovery. You don't expect them to play so well. But yeah, those questions arose. Like I said, we tried a lot of new hands against Russia just to see the extra pieces that we can take to Morocco um in December. And so the football wasn't necessarily beautiful. In fact, it was tacky for most of the time. It was a very scrappy match. But if you're looking at individual performances, then you can begin to see, oh, Tolu is not a bad striker up front. Maybe he's another choice for Victor Osimhen, just in case. Then in goal, I would say this: in goal, the goalkeeper wasn't bad. Yes, there was the goal Nigeria conceded, but ultimately you're looking at him and saying, okay, not a bad performance. So when you're looking at friendlies, I think much more than the results, you look at the performances of players so that you know who you can put your pieces in. But yes, it was clear that our playing pattern wasn't defined. It's almost as if when Nigeria puts up a different team, we play in a completely different way. And that happens when you have a new coach that is getting to know the system, and when you're
Mm.
playing friendlies that you're looking for new players in. No need for us to start writing think pieces yet. It was something that had to be done. But
Right.
I'm glad we have this friendly so we can continue to build the team. That's what I think.
Mm. Indeed. And let's see how that one actually plays out. Interesting times ahead for the Super Eagles. All right. Let us switch gears for now and talk about French Open tennis. We're going to start on the women's side, where Arina Sabalenka, that's world number one, said it hurts to show such terrible tennis in what she described as the worst final I ever played, that's in quotes, in her French Open loss to Coco Gauff. I mean, Sabalenka second um second loss this
Second
year.
Grand Slam, yeah,
Grand
second Grand
Slam,
Slam
yes,
loss
Grand
this
Slam
year.
loss. That's what I was looking for. Thank you,
But it's
Tega.
also the second. It's also the second time she's lost to Coco Gauff in the final. I remember Coco Gauff's first Grand Slam was against Sabalenka, and she beat her in 3 sets. Came back from a set down to beat her in 3 sets and win her first Grand Slam. Then she gets to the French Open on Saturday, and she beats her again in 3 sets to win her second Grand Slam. So tough one for Sabalenka, but that wasn't the news going round. First of all, it was a great Grand Slam by Coco Gauff, the way she fought. But the news was how Sabalenka reacted. She said, and I quote, at the end of the final, I mean, at this time she was crying, so nobody really gave much thought to it. Because immediately on court, when they gave her interview, she was like, oh, this way, this is I'm so sorry for playing this badly in this terrible condition. And I'm
Mm,
like, yes, the wind was blowing a little bit much, but you weren't the only one playing in the wind.
exactly.
And it wasn't that terrible. It was like the wind picked up. Yes, and it had picked up throughout the Roland Garros. So it was not the most ridiculous wind. It's not like you were playing inside the hail and storm. So what was the drama? And she said that on court. So everybody was like, okay, because she's crying, she just lost another Grand Slam this year, must be hurtful. Then she went to the press conference room and said, and these are her exact words: Coco did not win because she played well. She won because I played terribly. I took off my gele. Let's fight. Let's fight. Granted, she made 77 unforced errors in that match alone, and that's a lot of. You can't look. If you make 77 unforced errors, the other person has to be playing equally terrible for you to win. But I always try to explain to people. Sometimes they're called unforced errors, but people force the errors. For instance,
Mm,
because Coco was defending so well, and Coco was returning almost every ball. You know how Coco is. Coco is one of the most athletic players on the WTA. She's strong, she can run, she's quick. So some ball that you will hit that Arena will hit and some people will not get to because of Coco's speed and her court coverage, she'll get to it. And so because
right, right,
she was returning shots that usually people wouldn't return, it forced Arena Sabalenka to be trying things extra. So she's trying to hit the ball a little deeper, which meant she went over the line sometimes. Or sometimes she tried to drag the ball a little wider, which meant she hit the shot um, outside the line. And so it was 77 unforced errors, but it was unforced errors that happened because of the way Coco was playing. So ultimately, that's why sometimes I really don't like the term unforced errors. Yes, the person made an error that the person would easily have um, played better, but because of they were afraid of the other person on the court returning their shot, that's why they went that extra mile. And so she made those errors. She was playing that badly because Coco was playing well. Sorry, Coco was defending well because even Coco had her own struggles, but Coco was defending extremely well. And so all the weapons that Arena Sabalenka would usually have, it was neutralized by Coco's returns. And so for you to come out and say she didn't play very well, she didn't win because she played well, she won because I played poorly. It was the most disgusting thing. And I've said it before. This is what I don't like about Arena Sabalenka. She just opens her mouth and drops words. So people were asked, oh, why don't you like Sabalenka? It's the same thing that happened immediately after the Russian invasion. They asked everybody the same question. Everybody just said, "Oh, it's tense in the locker room. Um, we are hoping that the Ukrainians will be able to be fine." Sabalenka sat in front of the microphone. They don't want to greet me. They don't want to talk to me as if I'm the one that invaded. I'm just like, you don't talk like that. Have some maturity. Do you understand? Have some emotional maturity. And so that's what happened again. Her lack of emotional maturity showed. But she came out to say to post later that she, that if you ask her a question, she would say what she thinks, and she's human. I was just like, oh God, she did these people and their excuses for bad behavior. But hey, ultimately, Coco won her second title. Congratulations to her. First American woman to do it since Serena Williams. I think it's 10 years. So good one for her.
Good one for
Is
her,
it?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years already, just like that. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back in, we'll talk about what went on on the men's side, where Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, epic French Open final between them. The locker room, we're back on the other side. Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned. The term you're looking for is she just opened her mouth, wow, and talks anyhow. That's what you're looking for. The term you're looking for.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. She opens her mouth, wow. But, I have to put it in the formal English part.
I mean, it's just so silly. She didn't win because she was good, because I made mistakes. If you were
Can
good,
you
would you make
imagine?
mistakes? If you
Do
were
you
good,
understand? She's just the most ridiculous. She came out with that post and said Coco played very well. She played better than me. And then she still said she played better than me in those conditions. So she wasn't really apologizing. She wasn't backing down. In her mind, Coco is not good enough to beat you, but she's beating you twice now. In Grand Slams, for that matter. And
exactly.
Grand Slams where you led in the first set.
She has 1-2 on your head, though, but
Oh,
she's not
yeah, do
good.
you understand? Please continue to disrespect her so that when you meet again, she will beat you again for good measure. I
Uh,
like this kind of disrespect.
I wonder what she will say if she eventually beats Coco for a Grand Slam. I just wonder.
I really wonder. I should probably say, hey, I told you I was good. Third time lucky. Rather. Very silly girl. It's
Oh,
just so
Lord have
disgusting.
mercy.
And when people ask me, say, why? I say, this is why I don't like. She just talks. Just talks. How about you think about your words, even if you thought it? You
Exactly.
can't make you can't make 77 of us errors like that now when they didn't swear for you.
It's like having a terrible defense, but you want to win league. How?
How? Or you want to win trophy like Spain?
All right, let's go back. All right, welcome back into the second half of the locker room on a Monday morning. Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It is 35 minutes past 8 a.m. Ayokunmi here. Tega also in with me, and we are taking a look at the sporting action from over the weekend. So many things happening over the weekend, and we've been touching on them one by one. You can also weigh in on what we're talking about this morning, the stories that caught your attention, and the stories we're talking about in detail. The WhatsApp number to send your thoughts in to us is 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also plant your flag on YouTube. Yes, we're streaming live. You can always catch us there as well at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, Tega, let's get back into the French Open recap here, talking about what happened on the men's side of things. Defending champion Carlos Alcaraz recovered from 2 sets down, saving 3 championship points on the way to beat Yannick Sinner in an incredible French Open men's singles final.
All right. So the first time Carlos Alcaraz has come from 2 sets down to win a match. He was 0 of 8 times before yesterday's final. To win a match from 2, he had never done it. Yannick Sinner, on the other hand, had won 9 of the 10 matches that he has come from 2 sets down. So Yannick Sinner had that unclear advantage. But Yannick Sinner struggles against nobody but Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz can have a bad day against anybody. Yannick Sinner, the only person that he's afraid of is Carlos Alcaraz. That's the only person that seems to be able to know how to beat him consistently on tour. And so when the tournament started yesterday, from the very start, I knew it was going to be a long match because Yannick Sinner started the serve. And his service game, the first service game took 12 minutes. 12 minutes is halfway through a set normally. It was one game on the clock, on the board. 12 minutes. I said, if we should go and boil beans, so we are going to be here a while. So it wasn't, and true to time, the match ultimately set the record for the longest final at Roland Garros. 5 hours, 29 minutes.
I mean, if you're in a flight, you're almost from Lagos to London, you almost get to
You're
London
almost there.
before. Yeah, you're almost there.
You're almost there. These guys, and they didn't take bathroom breaks, so nobody went to the bathroom to change his shirt. That's the 5 hours we're playing time, is what I'm trying to say. That these two guys were on court. So one of it was some people were saying, oh, Yannick Sinner doesn't have stamina, he doesn't have stamina. I was like, even footballers after 3 hours and penalty shootout, they will fall on the field and people will say they gave their all. These people played 5 hours and 29 minutes. And people say Yannick Sinner doesn't have stamina. If you have stamina, do and make us see. Even marathoners don't run 5 hours. What are you talking about? And this is not running from side to side, or it is not just running a straight line. This is side to side, front to back, swinging your hand from left to right and over your head, and sometimes between the legs because they were twinners in that match. So ultimately, you're looking at some of the best athletic specimens in the world. And these two guys left it all. Yannick Sinner took the first set. In fact, we thought this after he took the second set, we thought it was over for Carlos Alcaraz for the reasons I mentioned before. Then Carlos took the fourth set, and then Yannick Sinner served for the fourth set and for the championship at 5-3, 40 love. You don't understand. He was the one serving. It was 40 love. Carlos Alcaraz said, so I brought this trophy and I'm not taking it back. I must fight one last fight. You know that kind of last fight that they used to do in movies.
Exactly.
Where they would have finished beating Bruce Willis. Then he will now stand up and say, I'm here. And then he will start the real fight. That's exactly what Yannick Sinner did. He came from 40 love to break back, and then he was able to win that in a convincing tiebreaker. But at which time, Carlos Alcaraz's blister under his leg and his the muscle strain he was having on his thighs has started to kick in. But even Carlos Alcaraz still fought, because when Yannick Sinner still fought, because even when Carlos Alcaraz was about to serve for the championship at 6-4, Carlos Alcaraz broke him back. And I was just like, okay, you know what? These guys don't want to leave it. But ultimately, it was Carlos Alcaraz who was able to just stand firm, keep his focus, had the legs left to win the super tiebreaker in the fifth set. And so congratulations to him. Congratulations to Yannick Sinner, because I'm so happy that next gen is gone and these two guys have taken over. Because those next gen people played horrible tennis. We thought that, nobody could ever beat Novak Djokovic. But here we are with Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz for the next 10 years by God's grace.
And it looks like those two are going to be at the top of that tree for quite a bit. Both of them 1-2, 1-2.
Yes, this is going to be beautiful. So at Roland Garros this year, if you were seeded number 2, you won the championship. Because Coco Gauff is seeded number 2, she won on the women's side. And Carlos Alcaraz is number 2 on the men's side, he won on the men's side. The difference between the women's side and the men's side is Yannick Sinner. Well, Yannick Sinner is comfortably ahead. I think he has 3,000 points, even with this loss.
He'll still retain his number 1 spot.
What I'm saying is he'll not just retain it, he'll retain it comfortably.
Okay. Okay, let's see how that plays out. Anyways, away from France, and let's head over to Germany, specifically to talk about the Nations League final, where Ruben Neves scored the decisive spot kick after Alvaro Morata missed, as Portugal beat Spain 5-3 on penalties, following a 2-2 draw in Munich on Sunday to claim their second Nations League title.
So this is an interesting one. I'm sure when this final started, everybody and their pets said Spain was going to win it. The question was by how much. And that's not because we're disrespecting Portugal, but it's because Spain can score goals aplenty.
Right.
But on the day, I don't know what happened to De La Fuente and his boys. First of all, I must say this, one of the biggest battles on the field. And some people wanted to see this in the UEFA Champions League final. Well, you saw it today. It was Nuno Mendes and Lamine Yamal against each other. I think Roberto Martinez just told Nuno Mendes, you see that Lamine Yamal, whatever you do today, don't let him dance.
Mm.
Because every time Lamine was on the ball, Nuno Mendes was there. And at some point, I didn't even think he was playing fullback because he was also up front on the right wing, causing damage on the other side. So I think he was specifically put there for Lamine Yamal. And my goodness, he beat the living daylight out of Lamine Yamal. If Lamine Yamal had any chance of Ballon d'Or, by the time Nuno Mendes was done with him, it's only Balloon that was left. He beat the door. He beat the door out of him. Every matchup, I think there was only once Lamine had the better of Nuno. The rest of it, Nuno won hands down. And because he neutralized Lamine on that part, even Pedro, when he wanted to pass the ball, he just stopped passing the ball towards Lamine because Lamine was doing nothing on the wing. Lamine had to try to be cutting in inside to be a threat, and it wasn't working with all those long range shots. So ultimately, that was the first battle. The second battle was the battle of the defense. And Spain is suffering the same problem that Barcelona is suffering. Their defense is porous. And
Yes,
so
indeed.
usually they try to outscore you. But yesterday wasn't the day because even the Portuguese defensively still managed to show up despite the fact that they conceded 2 goals. So it now came down to penalties, and penalties is really a lottery. And
Yeah.
the captain, unfortunately, Alvaro Morata, missed his own spot kick. Portugal won another trophy. So congratulations to them. But we cannot talk about this without talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. At 40, still being the key man in Portugal. He scored a goal in the semis, scored a goal
In
in
the
the
final.
final, and then he lifted a trophy. Yes, it's a glorified friendly trophy, but he lifted a trophy nonetheless. In an Iberian rivalry, I must add,
Exactly. Exactly. That
at
is the
40.
absolute truth.
At 40. That's some goat mentality.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Tega. All right. Do we have time to talk about England or do we take messages right now? Let me see here.
Let's just touch
Uh,
on, you know what? Let's just touch on the people coming in and going out. So, um, first of all, England and the disappointment after winning against Andorra. Thomas Tuchel came to the press conference and said the boys did not perform on Super. He threw all his boys under the bus. But what makes it even better for him was that Harry Kane came out to say yes, that we escaped narrowly. So even the players are admitting fault. So nobody's going to jump on Thomas Tuchel's head because
hmm,
the player said it is our fault. Thomas Tuchel said it is their fault.
yeah,
Who
okay.
are you to?
So,
So case settled. Also in Italy, Spalletti is officially resigning because he's saying he's leaving immediately after the last match. So he's gone. We don't know yet know who's going to take over in Italy, but yeah, it's a strange one. Italy is a very interesting team.
mm,
Soldiers come, soldiers go, and very quickly too. On that note,
yes,
let's
indeed.
take messages.
All right, let's begin this with this one from Stan. Stan says, "I'm just happy. I'm so happy that Portugal. I'm so happy Portugal won. No, I'm sorry. I'm happy that Portugal just validated my point against the Spanish team, which is park the bus, get a fast player to mark Yamal, attack when needed, and always fall back when you lose the ball. The only mistake that would have cost the Portuguese team was wrong positioning of João Neves, which was later corrected at halftime. Big thumbs up to Nuno Mendes, best left back in the world. That guy is an absolute machine. Zizi Classic says Portugal removed the S in Spain and left them with pain. Chai, you should write that down somewhere. Since Yamal couldn't win the UEFA Nations League, he got the Golden Hair Award at least. Just because Laman had a bad game. You should calm down, though.
I'm
Mohammed
sorry. No, no,
says,
no, no. He has a bad day, so we must drag him.
okay, fair enough. Mohammed says, Victor should not grieve for anybody. Why should African Europeans be paid more than Victor when no African European are at his level except Mbappe? You see, These top European leagues are a cabal and will punish and victimize those they have a grudge against. They are doing it to Mourinho. Sometimes it may not be only racism. Remember Bosman that no club hired after he won a ruling against all European clubs.
Yes, yes. So that's why I said let's take out racism. This is not racism, but there's something else at play here. You're right.
Taya says, congrats to Coco for conquering Paris. Please play that Kanye West and Jay-Z song. It's not me and you, Taya. Arena can go to her village and explain her mediocre self to her people. I don't like her silly comments, but Oluwakoko had a good response in her bag. We only deal with saints and not sinners. Congrats to Alcaraz. He put that guy in confinement. He also is congratulating Portugal here and saying Morata did not disappoint me. Zikolo says, amazing play by Portugal last night. CR7 is the winner again at 40. I hope this guy won't play in the national team with his son. Maybe that's what he wants to do. A fantastic guy and GOAT for a reason. Mayowa says, Nuno Mendes humble the talkative Lamine Yamal. Please inform him that the match is over and he can now let Lamine go. Sinner and Alcaraz made my weekend. Right, let me go to YouTube real quick. A lot of comments out there. Padre Pio says, my GOAT versus yours. Mine carried another Nations League trophy after scoring a goal. Yamal? What Yamal? Uche Namokwe says, epic weekend of sports. Tennis gave us a day to remember, followed by Spain versus Portugal. One of the best finals in football and tennis. Sinner and Alcaraz will dominate for years. Yes, we did say that. LK Adiroba says, I disagree with Tega on this one. Osimhen currently earns 235,000 euros a week. He's requesting for 450,000 pounds a week in the EPL. Chelsea will definitely not pay that. The excuse is because of UK tax. Tega, tell us who earns 450k in the Premier League. Is anybody that earns that much? I don't know. Ayonfedada says, congratulations to Coco Golf. I particularly enjoyed the fact that she achieved all those declarations she wrote on paper. All right, and Radio Guide Lagos says, what a sporting weekend. Really enjoyed myself. What a comeback for my boy, Carlos Alcaraz. A new era of tennis has begun with the exit of those three Agbayas. That he wants to let tennis go. Well, here we are.
My God. Oh my God. Don't call them Agbayas. And on that note, I want to say thank you for sending in your messages. And thank you for streaming on YouTube. And thank you for tuning in to Spoot 98.1 FM. So listen to the locker room. Till I come your way again on Wednesday, and this time with no code. Have a fantastic week.
All right. Have a fantastic Monday and do feel better by Wednesday, Tega. Thank you so much. And to all of you who kept up with us and sent messages and always stay on to the locker room. We appreciate you so very much. Wednesday, 8:15, we'll do this ride all over again. Meanwhile, the Smooth Breakfast is going to keep on. It's going to be a conversation at 9 on Lagos Talks and more great music coming your way.